Hi everyone, back at our YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a Rumour Has It video talking about players linked to the football club this coming transfer window and beyond. And we are talking about a player here who's getting very frustrated at one of the big clubs and could potentially be up for sale for a real bargain price as well. We're going to stick right into this in a second, talk about the player, talk about his stats, talk about whether we think it's going to be a smart move for Newcastle United or not. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think when we do talk about this player. We always hear from you and we always do our best to reply from you. And if you like this kind of a thing, smash like and subscribe, help the channel grow. We're going to go for our next milestone, which is 10,000 subscribers, break the old double digits, which would be class to do this year. You guys got us to 9,200 last year, which we love you for. This year, we're going again. We want to go for 10 and above. So smash that button, guys. So who am I waffling on about today? Well, I'm talking about this player right here. That's James McAtee, who plays for Manchester City. Now, a lot of you may remember James McAtee from his time at Sheffield United when he was on loan there. So a season in the Championship and a season in the Premiership. Now, brilliant in the Championship, obviously head and shoulders above everything that was there. And he was actually all right in the Premiership. He showed some quality, even though Sheffield United were terrible as a side. Remember, we pumped 8 past them. That's how bad they were. But he's a good player. He's a talented player. 22 years old. His contract is running out at Manchester City. It's June next year. He's out of contract. And this might be one of those players, like Cole Palmer previously, that Manchester City have to move on. Now, James McAtee as a player, what is he like as a player? Now, he's very, very similar in many ways to Phil Foden, the way that they play, the stature of them. They've got that low center of gravity, quick feet, can drop a shoulder, go past a player. He can play on the wing. He can play in the number 8. I think he's probably better in the number 8 than he is in the wing, but he's got a hell of a cross on him as well. He can really deliver a ball. He can find a pass. He's got good vision as well, and he can get a goal. As you can see there, 14 goals in 75 appearances for Sheffield United and 9 assists. So the kid can play. There's no doubt about that at all. He's in England under 21 international as well. He's had plenty of caps for them. As you can see, he's had 16 caps for under 21, 6 goals and 1 assist. And during that time, he also had Anthony Gordon, Lewis Hall, and I think Timo Livramento at some stage as teammates for the England under 21s. And I think Louis Miley as well. So a lot of Newcastle players as teammates internationally. So that's something that can go in our favour. James McAtee may be talking to the lads he knows and says, hey, what's it like in Newcastle? What's it like under this manager? And I'm sure they'll give him glowing references because every single one of those players has progressed under Eddie Howe, and a couple of them have become full-fledged England internationals, which is what James McAtee will want to do. There's no doubt about that. But let's have a look at his stats, and I'll tell you what I think about this player. Now, if you're looking at his kind of passes and pass completions there, it's a bit tricky because he's not really played a great deal for Manchester City. He's got 16 appearances in 5 years there, hence why the boy's frustrated. He's only had, I think, 3 appearances or something this season, but he's looked all right when he's come on. He hasn't looked out of place. I think even when City have been struggling, he's come on, he's commanded the ball, he wants the ball. He's happy to run at players, commit players, try and make things happen. So, I could maybe see City trying to keep a hold of him, but I just don't think he'll get into that team. I think City will just do what City do, and they'll try and buy a big name in that number 8 position, that big name to take over De Bruyne or something like that. And then McAtee will just disappear, into wilderness, really. But I think the fact that his contract's running out and he's not really getting any game time, I think the lad will know himself. It's time to move on. So his passes and pass completions are quite low. Key passes, you can see there, 74th percentile. So when the kid does use the ball, he often finds that killer pass, which is something that we lack, I think, a lot in our squad. If you look at the players that we have, since we brought Sandro Tonali in at the 6 and Bruno at the 8, our passing has been a lot more crisper, a lot more penetrative against teams. Louis Miley, when he come on the scene as well, looked really good in terms of that. And I don't think signing McAtee would prohibit Miley's progression in the side, because I think Eddie Howe sees Miley as that kind of replacement for Bruno when he's tired in games. Now, we know that Bruno is a sellable asset. We don't want to lose Bruno. He's been brilliant for Newcastle, certainly of late. Captain as well. Seems very happy here. We don't want to lose Bruno, but Champions League football at the end of the season will dictate whether we keep Bruno or not, or we end up selling him, much like a couple of other players as well. Hopefully we do get the Champions League football, and this isn't even a conversation worth having. But I think James McAtee, who can play on the right-hand side and as a number 8 and fill in for Bruno with quality on the ball, with the ability to run at players, with a vision, with a finish, I think would be an excellent signing for us. Certainly for 25 million quid, which is apparently what he's been valued at by Manchester City. You can spread that cost over 5 years and pay 5 million quid a year for this kid. Now, you've got to look at the squad now, and you've got to say, players like Sean Longstaff, players like Miguel Almiron, it's time for them to move on, probably. We need to get slightly better players than them, to improve the quality of the squad. Now, Sean does a lot of stuff McAtee won't do. Sean works hard, grafts, throws himself in the tackles defensively, probably a lot better than McAtee. But you can see there, in terms of what the kid can bring, shots on target, goals and XGs. He's quite in the high percentile. So when he uses the ball, he uses it very, very well in the attacking third. So playing him on the right-hand side and whipping crosses in for likes of Alexander Isak is a really good option. Jacob Murphy's in a great run of form, but how long will that form last? I'm not too sure with Jacob Murphy. He's consistently inconsistent. I hate to say it. I know everyone wants to give him the Ballon d'Or, but this form will run out with Murphy, and we need to have a player who's just got a little bit more. Now, at 22 years old, McAtee being the younger player, you wouldn't expect to walk in and play every single week. Now, listen, if he put it in and performed, of course he would play over Jacob Murphy. But it might be a good signing to make, because then Jacob Murphy and him can rotate positions. One's good for one game, one's not good for the other. Because Jacob Murphy does track back a lot, as you can see there, with his tackles and his defensive ability in the radar grid. He's much better defensively. Now, McAtee could be coached into being a bit better at that by this manager. I said this as well when we did the Tyler Dibbling video. For me, there's no better manager right now for this young emerging English talent, and he still is at 22. McAtee, he's got a lot of football ahead of him. The next decision in his career is a big one, and he has to take it very sensibly, and it's a very important decision. For me, there's no better manager right now as a young English talent to play under than Eddie Howe. Look at what he's done for your under 21 teammates: Lewis Hall, Anthony Gordon, Tino Livramento. He has made Sean Longstaff a better player, there's no doubt about that. Sean may be going this transfer window or may not, but he's made a better play. He's nurturing Louis Miley through the ranks as well, bringing him onto the scene, 17 years old. Obviously, Louis' raw ability is exceptional, but you need a good manager to help progress these kids along. And I think Eddie Howe is excellent at that. He was good at it at Bournemouth, and he's even better at it now, I think, at Newcastle. So for these young players, like I said in the Dibbling video, for me, if I'm their agent, sadly, their agent's probably more looking for the money, I'd imagine. But, sorry, agents, that seems to be the stick that's beat you with. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, any agents. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who are advising you in the right way, James, then Newcastle United would be a good fit for you, no doubt whatsoever. And he could go on and do a Cole Palmer. He really, really could, but maybe City are conscientious about that, and they might be a bit worried about losing this emerging talent. But I don't think Pep can play him. I don't think that he will play him enough. Pep spoke very highly of him, as he would do, because he's a class act. But I think Pep is not in a position to start bringing 6 or 7 kids from the academy into this Manchester City first team. Yes, he's done it with Rico Lewis. He's done it with a couple of others as well. But I'm not sure he'll put the trust in McAtee to come in and be that player for him. I think he'll go to the board and he'll ask some money to buy somebody who's ready-made rather than giving McAtee a couple of seasons to try and get himself up to a game. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with James McAtee. There's a few other teams, I'm sure, that'll be interested in the lad as well. But he is very frustrated at City, as you can imagine. So he is a very, very good attacking player. He's got quality. He's good on the ball, decent set pieces as well. So I think he could be an excellent signing for Newcastle United. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think about James McAtee. Would you take him? Do you think he's a good signing for us? 25 million quid. Do you think that's a bargain? These are the kind of players I think we need to be looking at. The likes of him. Angel Gomez has been linked as well, who's obviously a former teammate of Anthony Gordon, who won the Euros with England as well. So very interesting to be getting linked to these types of players. This is just giving us a little bit of a flavour as to what Paul Mitchell's maybe going to be all about in terms of his signing for tomorrow, signing the players that Eddie Howe can work with, make better players, make England internationals, and then they're in our first team and they're key players. And if you are going to sell them, their assets there, you bought them for 25 million, you sell them for 70 million, and you reinvest the money in the squad. That's modern day football. Chelsea have been doing it for years. City have been doing it a little bit as well. They'll make money on McAtee as well, from obviously bringing him in through, I think, was he one of the youth team players? He probably was. That'll be 100% profit for them as well. So be very interested to see what Newcastle do this transfer window. But we definitely need somebody on that right-hand side. And if McAtee can cover 2 players, right wing and number 8, if anything happens to Bruno, that's 25 million quid. I think it's a sensible signing. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think. We always like to hear from you. Drop a subscribe, like as well. Help the channel grow, guys. We'll be back with some more transfer banter soon. Have a belter. We'll see you later.
Newcastle United